Find seats in the gallery. Welcome to everyone to the Will County Board meeting for February 15, 2018. Call this meeting to order. If everyone would please rise. County Board members Gloria Dowser will be leading us in the pledge this morning, and then introduce the clergy for this morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to introduce Gretchen Fritz, District 5, who is a deacon of Fellowship Chapel of Bolingbrook.
Thank you, Gloria. Please pray with me. Lord, thank you for bringing us here today safely, each and every one of us who you intended to be in this room. And we ask that you would send your Holy Spirit to comfort the people of Lakeland, Florida at this difficult time. Such a tragedy yesterday, and they are likely waking up to just gut-wrenching emotions today. We long for the day when there will be no more sorrow or tears. Guide us in your way as we oversee Will County, the land you have given us. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Ogala?
Yes.
Summers?
Yes.
Singer?
Here.
Moran?
Present.
Rice? Harris?
Here.
Trainier?
Here.
Benefield?
Here.
Fritz?
Present.
Gould?
Here.
Militello?
Here.
Balich? Here. Rizzlone?
Here.
Winfrey?
Here.
Parker?
Here.
Staley Ferry?
Here.
Dollinger?
Here.
Markham?
Here.
Hart? Tumanello?
Here.
Weigel?
Here.
Ferry?
Here.
Coditis?
Here.
And Eustace.
Here.
Thank you.
26 present.
26 present, and we have a quorum present. Entertain a motion to place on file a certificate of publication. Moved by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Summers. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Sure. Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Ogala?
Yes.
Summers?
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Moran?
Present.
Rice? I got you. Rice? Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Benefield?
Yes.
Fritz?
Yes.
Gould?
Yes.
Militello?
Yes.
Yes.
Balich? Rizzlone?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Staley Ferry?
Yes.
Dollinger?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Hart? Tumanello?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Ferry?
Yes.
Coditis?
Yes.
And Eustace.
Yes.
Thank you.
26 for good, the motion is carried. Next up, looking for a motion to approve the Will County Board recess meeting of January 18, 2018, the approval of the minutes. Moved by Ms. Ferry, second by Mr. Markham. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Mr. Tumanello, second by Mr. Gould. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary motion is carried. Madam Clerk, would you acknowledge our elected officials and media that is here present?
Sure. County Clerk Nancy Schultz Booth, our County Executive Larry Walsh, Recorder of Deeds Karen Stupel, our Sheriff Mike Kelly, State's Attorney James Blasco, and we also have Dan Farah, the Joliet Township Supervisor, Ray Slattery, Rosie Burton, Archie Gavin, and Brian Hertzman from Joliet Township. Welcome. Good morning. Media, we have Farmers Weekly Review, Nick Ryer, and from Southtown, Susan. Oh, Scott's local.
He's running.
Scott's somewhere around here. Oh, there he is. WJOL.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay. Next up, we have a check presentation by Joliet Township to the Safe Passage Program. We have Annette Parker and County Board Member Denise Winfrey come to the podium and introduce Dr. Burke and the Joliet Township representatives.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Executive. We have with us this morning the Joliet Township Board, our Township Supervisor, Dan Vera, Township Trustees, Rosie Burden, Pete Gavin, Ray Slattery, Brian Hertzman, our Township Collector, Denise Winfrey, and our Township Attorney, Franklin Burton. And they are here with a presentation.
I want to thank Joliet Township for the presentation of the check for $150,000 towards our Safe Passage program. It's going to help with our opioid crisis that's going on here in Will County and with the treatment and prevention for the residents. Thank you. And Kevin first, thank you.
Township people should go down.
You going in?
All right. The Joliet, people who represent Joliet Township should go down. Because you're all part of it.
Jim, when I used to
And I say rock on Township, right?
Jim, when I used to come here, I never got my picture taken, never got a photo.
I want my name. This takes a while. You got to live
Uh-oh, come on, Catherine. Come on, no, you come up here, come up here. Next to Gloria. There we go. Well, we don't need to see Laura. Come on, Laura. She can't see you. Come on, Dan.
All right, everybody look at me this time.
All right.
I'd just like to say a few words of gratitude. I'd just like to say a few words of gratitude to Joliet Township for providing us these resources. $150,000 is going to go a huge way to be able to support our Safe Passage program. And as most of you know, our Safe Passage program is a police deflection program. It's an opportunity to get those who are suffering from an addiction into treatment and prevent them from conducting crimes in our community. And it facilitates getting the help that they need. The grant that we're getting is going to allow us to support it with social work. And social workers are trained to be able to find the best place for someone who has an addiction, the kind of care they need, whether it's inpatient or outpatient, and they'll be able to do that assessment. So the grant also allows us, for those people who are not able to pay for services because they either don't have insurance or their insurance does not cover the services they need, it gives us some resources to be able to provide that service for them. So this is a huge opportunity, and I'm very, very grateful to Dan Vera and the board for bringing this to Will County and to our Safe Passage program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Burke and the County Executive Walsh and the members of the County Board. It's always nice to come back to where I got my start many years ago here at the County Board level, working here, now at the Township level. So Thank you very much. Yes, we had Dr. Burke come over and spoke to us, met with me and told me about the programs that she was working on, talking to the county executive as well. And I do appreciate it, the board. Thank you for the support. The whole board is here today, and our township attorney. The idea started with our township attorney, Frank Berkey, who was aware of the program and told us to pursue it, and we did. And I thank the two people behind me, and it worked out really well. So on behalf of Joliet Township and our town board and our township attorney, I see you, Franklin, we appreciate it very much and glad to partner with the county on this effort. Thank you very much.
All resolutions approved at the January 18, 2018 County Board meeting have been signed by the county executive. Next on agenda, it's an honor for me to have a distinguished gentleman here today and give us some insight on a very, very important issue. So it's my honor to bring forward and introduce Robert Schillerstrom, and as he's the chairman to the State Tollway Authority. So, Mr. Schillerstrom, please come forward.
Well, thank you, County Executive Walsh. I certainly appreciate the invitation. Ladies and gentlemen of the county board, elected officials, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me to come today to talk about roads. I like talking about roads, so appreciate the opportunity. And before I start, I want to thank you. Will County has always been a very good partner with the tollway, and because of that partnership, we've had substantial success. 355 would not have been built through Will County without the hard work of many of you and your predecessors. So I thank you for that. I also look forward to working with you in the future. I think certainly at this time, if you're going to build things and get things done, you have to have a partnership. And the very fact that Executive Walsh and Speaker Boostis and many of you have invited me down here is indicative of the fact that we have a foundation for a partnership going forward. So I thank you for that. Let me give you just a little bit of background about the tollway. The tollway is an independent agency. Myself and the other members of the board are appointed by the governor, and we are confirmed by the Illinois State Senate. All of our revenues come from our users. We do not get any state money, we do not get any federal or local money. So everything that comes into our coffers is from people who are paying to use our roads. We are in good financial shape. We are certainly one of the agencies in the state of Illinois that can say that. Our revenues this year will be about $1.4 billion. Our expenses, our general operating costs are about $400 million, and our debt, we pay about $500 million. So we have a positive cash flow. We take all of that money and roll it back into the operations of the tollway, either for it to function or to improve the system. We're right in the middle of a 15-year, $14 billion program. It's the Move Illinois program. And essentially what we're doing with that program is we're going through and we are rebuilding our entire toll system. We have 292 miles worth of roads, and by the time that this program is done, they will all be up to date, rebuilt, and in good shape for many years to come. We, pursuant to state statute, are looking at a new program. We have to come up with a new program by 2021. So it is very timely that you would invite me down here to talk about Route 80. I know that we are familiar with Route 80. We're familiar with the problems on Route 80. We understand that there are safety concerns, and we understand that there are tremendous opportunities. One of the things that the governor has asked us to do is to use the tollway system to create economic opportunity and to create jobs. And that is one of the things that we take very seriously. And we know with the development that's taking place in Will County and even south of Will County that we need to invest in our infrastructure to make sure that we can maximize the opportunities that we have for economic development and job creation. So I appreciate the leadership that all of you are taking and looking at ways to improve Route 80, not only from a safety point of view, but from an economic development point of view. And I want you to know that we are interested in working with you. CMAP, as we speak, is working on a plan that takes a look at all of our interstates in northeastern Illinois and talks about how they can be improved. As you know, not only Route 80, but other roads in the interstate system need to be rebuilt. They need congestion relief. They need safety issues to be addressed. And CMAP has recognized that and is looking at it. And when you look at what's going on in government these days, the old days of finding a revenue stream, issuing bonds, and fixing a road or rebuilding a road or adding capacity to it are just not feasible anymore. And when you look at the president's infrastructure plan, I don't think that we can go to Washington anymore and ask for federal dollars. It just doesn't seem that there is going to be an opportunity to go down to Springfield or go to Washington and seek dollars. We're going to have to figure out ways to do it ourselves, to do it locally, and certainly I believe that the tollway is one of those options. So thank you for inviting me down here. I want you to know that we are very interested in continuing to have discussions with you to try and solve this problem that you have well defined. We are open to being creative. We have no options that are off the table. And as I said, I think the timing is very good. So I look forward to seeing you in the future. I look forward to working with all of you. And I think we can solve the problem. So if we desire, I can answer your question.
Time for questions.
I'm happy.
Any questions, Mr. Mustis?
Mr. Sundstrom, thank you for coming down. And of course, we talk on occasion. So I have really two kind of quick questions. One is this board passed a resolution requesting of the Tollway Authority to look perhaps do a feasibility study or kind of let us know what's maybe possible or how the tollway can help us here in Will County. And I know you're looking into that. I don't know if you want to comment on that, but I know you've received the resolution and you're considering that, I assume.
That is correct. We did receive that resolution. As I said, we're looking at putting together a new program, and Route 80 is one of the roads that we are definitely looking at. We do believe that from a financial point of view, it would make sense for the tollway to do it. And we think with electronics the way that they are now, the old days of having to wait in line to pay your tolls are done. Our users are very happy with the tollway. And I think that it is certainly a very viable option for rebuilding and adding capacity and making Route 80 a safer road. So thank you for sending us that resolution. Thank you for sending us that resolution, and we are looking at that. And as I said, the time is right because we're looking for projects. Our existing system, once we complete the Move Illinois program, will be essentially rebuilt. The capacity will be added to it, and we will at that time have the opportunity, I think, to start looking at some roads that are interstates. And if the numbers work, and I believe the numbers would work, and I believe that the law is such now that we would be able to toll Route 80. And what we just need to know and determine now, and I think we have to work on this together, is there a desire from the constituents that you represent and that people who will be affected by this have the desire to have this road be a tollway? And if it is, we stand ready to work with people and make it a reality.
Now, the other question I would have, and it may be a little early for you to answer this question, but we've seen a transportation bill being proposed by the president, and of course, in that program, leveraging local resources seems to be a cornerstone of that. And for the first time, I believe, they actually talked about tolling and toll authorities. And I'm hoping that creates some additional opportunities for the Illinois Tollway Authority. And have you had time to really look at that? I think it's probably a little premature. You don't know what's going to come forward. But I'm thinking that could also help accelerate if we get federal money. Helps us leverage out their money and resources.
We have looked at the president's proposal. We have met with people in the administration, and my belief is that they are going to be supportive of tolling. And when you look at the other options, probably tolling is the best option to be able to put more loads or to add capacity. They talk about new revenue sources, and there aren't too many ways to come up with new revenue sources unless you can devise a way for the user to pay, which we think is the fairest way to do it. So obviously, we are watching carefully what the federal government does, what kind of a bill that they pass. I would just come back and say, though, that the tollway, we do not have any federal funds. We do not have any state funds. We are a user-funded organization, and our funding, we are a strong financial institution, and I don't think that we would have to look for outside funds to be able to undertake a project on Route 80 or on the other interstates.
Thanks.
Ms. Rainier?
I have the experience of riding on Interstate 55.
Yes.
And I can't find a time of day when it is not rush hour. I have heard lots of conversation about, a express lane in the middle, possibly a toll. Is that really moving forward, or is that kind of at a standstill?
Well, that decision is a little bit above my pay grade.
Well, but I'm telling you, you need to make a decision.
Well, we stand ready. We being the tollway, we stand ready to take on new projects if we are asked. And certainly that is one of the projects that has been discussed. And when you look at Route 80, when you look at 55, when you look at the Eisenhower, when you look at the majority of our interstates, they are in need of investment. They are in need of additional capacity. We recognize that, and what needs to, and we're looking forward to the study from CMAP, because I think the study is going to recommend that if we are going to move forward on many of these roads, that they are going to have to be tolled in whole or in part. So we're anxious to see the study. We are anxious to help solve the transportation issues in this region, and we're looking for partners to help us do that.
Other questions? Other questions? Jim, did you have a question? Mr. State's Attorney?
Interstate, as a child, I watched them build Interstate 80. Went through West Park and destroyed my ski belts, or my sled belts. We're at a point now with the tremendous economic growth we've had. The one problem with that is the incredible truck traffic. And there are some interchanges on Interstate 80 which are Russian roulette. When you're going south on 55 and you want to go east on 80, you're taking your life in your hands when you come up to the top to merge. And the state of Illinois does not have the money to redesign all these interchanges that are a problem. And I just read recently that the bridge over the Des Plaines River, the bridges over the Des Plaines River are in great need of repair. Would the tollway be able to handle those kind of expenses? And how long would it take for you have to have tolls for a number of years before you could approach repairing those types of things? But we have a tremendous need here, and nobody wants to pay a toll when you get on a road. But if it's a life and death situation like we're facing here, hopefully this could be your project that you're searching for?
Well, safety is obviously very, very important, and one of government's duties is, and nobody knows that better than you, is to provide safety. And we at the tollway, we have never really taken over an interstate. We did a small piece up on the Elgin O'Hare, and we believe that the law would allow us to do that if the political will was there for it to take place. And we believe that it would financially work. And obviously, it's very early at this point, but from a general planning point of view, I would think what we would do, if we were granted authority to go in and take over Route 80, we would rebuild it, and I believe that we do have the finances to do that. We generally, what we do is we use some pay-as-you-go money and then we borrow. And we are a very conservative institution financially. We have a very high debt ratio coverage. So I believe financially we would have the ability to do that. And we would want to fix it and put it before we probably toll it. Because I think if you're going to toll something, you want to give people a better product instead of just going in and taking what they have and toll it. So, but we're a little bit ahead of things with that, but that would be my plan. Would be if there is a desire for the tollway to take over Route 80, we would be very interested in working with the powers that be to do that. I believe that we have the financial wherewithal to take it over and to do it right, to make it a safe road, and to create future economic opportunity, which creates jobs. So
I just want to compliment you and your board, because my experience on the interstates with my son playing baseball with the tollways, they're safe, they're in great condition, and it'd be wonderful to see I-80 like that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Ms. Bellinger, did you ask a question?
Oh, no,
Mr. Fritzalone?
Bob, I know you're aware of our community freight friendly mobility study. You read the ACEC awards for the best.
Congratulations.
In class, thank you for that study. So obviously that's something that can help you when you're doing, you look at what the feasibility is. But what else can this body do to help you when you're taking a look at your next plan?
Well, I think helping to put together a coalition. The more people, the more entities that are interested in us moving forward, I think you need a coalition to do things. And you know, obviously we need to have support out of the state. Any support we can get from other elected officials, whether they be federal officials or state officials or local officials, I think is very, very important. And obviously we want support of the individuals who are going to use the road, the people who get up every day and get in their car and drive to work and want to drive home in a safe fashion. We want to know that there's a consensus that our leaders and the individuals who will be the users of this road would like to have the tollway become involved and rebuild this road.
Okay, Ron.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Mr. Moran?
As you're doing your study to examine what road improvements you would make if you were able to take over Interstate 80 or parts of Interstate 80, I hope you're also keeping an open mind about the Ilion Expressway. I know that the governor put the thing on hold when he came into office. The largest port in North America is located in the Elwood, Wilmington, Joliet area. There is fixing Interstate 80 is not going to help the country grow. 4% of gross national product of the country moves through Will County. The bottleneck at Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan is still going to exist regardless of what you do with the transportation system along the Interstate 80 corridor through Joliet. I'm hoping that the Ilion Expressway is something that you're still willing to look at as you go through your reviews. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Bob, that CMAP is in the overseer of the study.
That's
and,
correct.
Do you have any kind of a date that they will be finished with their work? Do they know? And I know that they got a huge, job ahead of them on putting all the data together. But did they indicate a possible date that they could put out of the results?
We expect to see it this year in 2018. They are well into the project. They started the project last year, and so hopefully we're going to see some results. I would hope by mid-year, but if not by mid-year, certainly before the end of the year. We like you, are anxiously waiting to see what they come out with.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shillstrom, for coming down. First committee, Land Use and Development Committee, Mr. Weigel, Chairman.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Tom.
First item is a public hearing for land use cases. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Balish. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Sure, Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Ogalla?
Yes.
Summers?
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Moran?
Yes.
Rice?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Trinier?
Yes.
Benefield?
Yes.
Fritz? Gould?
Yes.
Militello?
Yes.
Balich?
Yes.
Bizzalone?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Staley Terry?
Yes.
Dollinger?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Hart? Tumanello?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Politis?
Yes.
And Eustace?
Yes.
Thank you.
25 affirmative.
25 affirmative. We are in public hearing. Please be advised, absolutely no new evidence or information will be allowed once this land use public hearing is closed. We have 3 cases to be heard today. Case ZC 17-055, case ZC 17-057, and case ZC 17-062. Is anyone from the public here to speak on any one of these cases? Is anyone from the public wishing to speak on any of these cases? Okay, come forward.
Is this for the land use on High Road? I can go speak?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Mary Burnett. I reside at 14116 High Road. I was here the other day, and this is about the Wagner concrete expansion on our street.
Which case number is it?
I honestly, sorry, I have no idea.
Okay.
The second one?
57, ZC 1757, Nancy. Okay, so
And I realize I'm the only person from the street here. I was here the other day. I've spoken to other residents on the road.
speak into the mic a little bit.
I've spoken to other residents on the road, and they're opposed to it as well. The other day, the attorney said that he's been there for 25 years, which is not the case. It's only been 10 years. I'm opposed to, it's going to be more truck traffic. It's in a residential area. I don't like the idea at all. So, like I said, there's more people, and we've emailed some of the county board members, so I thought that that would have been taken into consideration the other day. So, that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions from council? Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else interested here to speak on any of these 3 cases? Mr. Weigel?
Make a a motion to close the public hearing.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Frizzalone. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Sure. Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
O'Gallagher? Summers? Singer?
Yes.
Moran?
Yes.
Rice? Harris?
Yes.
Trinier?
Yes.
Thank you. Benefield?
Yes.
Fritz?
Yes.
Gould?
Yes.
Militello?
Yes.
Balich?
Yes.
Frizzalone?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Staley Ferry?
Yes.
Dollinger?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Tumanello?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Colitis?
Yes.
And Mustis.
Yes.
Thank you.
26 affirmative.
26 affirmative, the public hearing has been closed. Mr. Weigel.
Okay, the first case, ZC 17055, is a map amendment from A1 to I2 in Joya Township. It's a vacant property. They want to build an industrial building. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Second case, DC 17057. This is Wagner Concrete, located in Rockport Township on High Road. They're seeking a map amendment from A1 to I2. They have an existing business there, and they want to buy the lot next door to expand it. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Prenier, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary.
You show me as an abstention? Show me as a no. Thank you.
Abstention and a no. Got it.
Thank you.
Motion has carried.
Next case, ZC 17062, is a special use permit for light equipment sales in New Lakes Township. They're taking over an existing industrial building. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Ms. Militello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous vote by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tumanello. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary? Aye.
Thank you.
Ballich, Mr. Ballich, yes?
Yes. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Motion is carried.
Our next meeting is March 13th. That concludes my report.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next up, Finance Committee. Mr. Frizzalone, Chairman.
Good morning, Will County. First up, we have some financial reports. Here we have a report from the Illinois Department of Revenue showing sales tax remitted to Will County for the month of November 2017 to be $1,688,407.91. RTA tax received is $2,006,185.71 for a total of $3,694,593.62. And we also have the monthly treasury report dated December 31st from the Will County Treasurer Steve Weber. I'd like to make a motion to put both of those reports on file.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Ms. Dollinger. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
18-43, appropriating adult redeploy Illinois program grant funds in the State's Attorney's Drug Court fiscal year 2018 budget, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
18-44, transferring and increasing appropriations in the various county budgets to fund year-end shortfalls. This is our year-end cleanup, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Ballich. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll call by Mr. Benefield and second by Ms. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
And I have 18-45, authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents for delinquent tax program, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Parker. Ms. Parker, I'm sorry. And second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Our next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for March 6th at 10 a.m. That concludes my business.
Thank you very much, Mike. Next up, our for Public Works and Transportation Committee, Mr. Gould, Chairman.
Morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning, Don.
Good morning, fellow board members. First, I have Resolution 18-46, authorizing an agreement between the County of Will and Oxcart Permit Systems for providing an online internet application for accepting and processing oversized and overweight truck permits under the Will County Division of Transportation jurisdiction. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Moran. Any questions? Questions? Ms. Ogala.
Not a question, actually, just a comment. I wanted to say that I'm glad that we're doing something like this, because I think that our truckers in the county have a difficult time knowing where to go and what they have to pay, who they have to pay. This will help ease that burden. And in addition to that, I know that we are now going to be working with our East Will County. We're starting on truck routing. And I think that's really important, because you see this semis driving all over everywhere. So that it kind of all plays into our community-friendly freight study. So one thing I want to say is, as we move forward, I think it's important when we have initial meetings regarding these type of things that we are inclusive. So for Eastern Will County, I know there's a meeting plan with the mayors. And I used to work for the road district out there, and I worked in one little township road district, and we worked collaboratively on projects through Peatone Township and Washington Township. And I know the conversation that is had, and animosity kind of gets built when things are done separately. So I hope that when we look at this first meeting, that we make a change, and we invite not only the mayors, but we also include our highway commissioners to be part of that first conversation, so that everyone's in the room hearing the same thing. I know that they're having a township highway commissioners meet monthly conversation, and Jeff has been having with them. But I just think it's important to do that, because having worked on a township highway, I know how everyone feels sort of slighted, and I don't want that to continue. And I know, Don, this has nothing to do with this particular Oxcart thing, but it's on that subject. So, thank you.
Excuse me, no, but thank you. As you alluded to, County Engineer Ronaldson does meet with the Township Highway Commissioners on a monthly basis. And I know that Jeff is committed to continue to have these discussions, and he has been very proactive in everything he's done with the Township Highway Commissioners, so they certainly will be included and to be a part of that.
Mr. Mistis.
You know, we all know that one of the challenges is the last mile. It's actually when they get off the state system, it's actually when they get off the county system that we have some challenges. And certainly I would agree that the township highway commissioner should be brought into the conversation. I did mention this at the Republican caucus this morning. I do have a lot of confidence in our county engineer. In some ways, he represents the highway commissioners. He works very closely with the highway commissioners, and of course, he manages their some of their tax funds, their motor fuel tax funds, and so forth. So there is that relationship there, and I do tend to agree with you, Judy, that when everybody sits at the table at the same time, if they just all sit and listen respectfully, you know, I think you get a better result. You know, one of the things that Oxcart can do for the trucking industry is that as everyone comes together, you know, the truckers can get the routing that they should go, that they're permitted to go down. And perhaps as other local entities get onto, like an Oxcart, there'll be a one-stop shop for everybody, and there'll be a coordination of those truck routes, because they'll be given the route. I still have concerns about those that are not overweight and don't need to be permitted, to make sure that they can follow the correct routes or the preferred trucking routes. But I think this certainly is another step forward in us implementing our freight study, our community-friendly freight study. And I think we all should put a little emphasis on community-friendly, because it's not only accommodating the industry, but it's mitigating the impacts the industry has on our community. So I do think this is one of the first steps in implementation of moving our freight study forward. Thank you.
Ms. Summers, did you have a comment?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm in total agreement with her. This coming week, we've set up a roundtable out at Washington Township with the highway commissioners, the sheriff's office. Someone from IDOT's going to be there, and of course Jeff is going to be there. It was very instrumental in getting someone down out our way to sit down and talk, and it's basically on safety issues, which all plays into this. So I'm pretty excited about that. Thank you, Jeff, and everyone else that's going to be involved. And I'm looking forward to sitting down and talking to these people about ideas that they have and we can really implement.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that when I was on the highway department, I worked with Bruce Wood. Of course, Jeff was not in charge, and Bruce was. And there was always a really good working relationship between the township and the highway department. My point is basically the fact that Jeff was also, like I was, an invitee to the meeting on the upcoming February 26th with the mayors. And I want to make sure that out in Eastern Will County, we have more cohesiveness than currently exists. And I would like to see the highway commissioners be part of that conversation, because it's better to have everybody up front and having be feeling part of it versus having a meeting later on, because that is when things happen and negativity starts. So if there's going to be negativity, there's going to be even more negativity afterwards. And I think the road commissioners, I've spoken with several of them, they're very interested in coming up with a truck route, because they have semis everywhere. I see semis on my South Road, which is a gravel road. My Lori sees it. Her sister lives out in the country near me. And so we see this, and so we're all very interested in it. And I think we need to do our kickoff meeting with this, with everybody included. So I hope that additional invitations will be sent to the highway commissioners as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Any other?
There's a motion to the subject.
Motion and second already. Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Mr. Markham. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 1847, amending Will County Division of Transportation oversized overweight truck permit procedures. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Melatello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Mr. Balich. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 1848, temporary 12-month amendment to the ordinance amending Will County Division of Transportation oversized overweight truck permit procedures. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Fritz, second by Ms. Ogala. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 1849, confirming an award of contract to Preform Traffic Control Systems, led on January 17, 2018, for county-wide striping, all county board districts. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Parker. Any question? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Rice, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 1850, improvement by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for the countywide striping, all county board districts using MFT funds. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Warren Ferry and second by Mr. Moran. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
1851, improvement by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for 95th Street at its intersection with Plainfield Naperville Road, County Board District 11, using county motor fuel tax funds. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Hart, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion is carried.
Resolution 1852, a supplemental resolution for improvement by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for Creek Money Road from Old Money Road to Route 1, using additional motor fuel tax funds, County Board District 1. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Summers. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Ogala, second by Mr. Weigel. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 1853, rescinding Resolution 16-206 and authorizing approval of an IDOT County joint agreement for improvements on Weber Road from 135th Street to Normantown Road, County Board Districts 3 and 13. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Moran. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Harris, second by Ms. Rainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
And Resolution 1854, authorizing approval of the expenditure of county motor fuel tax funds, $18 million, for the improvements on Weber Road from 135th Street to Normantown Road, County Board Districts 3 and 13. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Moran. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Rice, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
I'd like to thank the committee for all their work this month. And that last resolution certainly will begin a long but needed process.
Thank you, Don.
Our next meeting is March the 6th at 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, our Judicial Committee, Mr. Benefield, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning, Darren.
Fellow board members. I just wanted to say that we're having very informative meetings at the Judicial Committee, and I would encourage you guys to come on out and give a chance. We just haven't had items to present to the board for voting on, but I just wanted to say, hey, come on out, hear about the judiciary. It's very informative. We're learning a lot, and our next meeting is scheduled for March 6th at 9 a.m. And we hope to see some of you out there.
Thank you very much, Darren. Next up, Public Health and Safety Committee, Ms. O'Donnell, Sheriff.
Good morning, County Executive, fellow board members.
Good morning, Judy.
I just have a couple items to be placed on, I have a report to be placed on file. It is the Will County Regional Office of Education quarterly report from October 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2017, submitted by Dr. Charlene Walsh, who is our Regional Superintendent of Schools, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. O'Donnell, second by Mr. Vallich. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, no way. The motion is carried.
That's all the actions I have, but I do want to make everyone aware of an upcoming seminar that's being put on by Congressman Bill Foster. It's Combating the Heroin Epidemic Annual Review. Everyone is invited to a discussion on the status of the fight against heroin abuse in the 11th Congressional District. This meeting will be held Friday, February 23rd, from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. It's going to be held at the Will County Health Center, the community room, which is on the lower level. That address for the Community County Health Center is 1106 Neal Avenue in Joliet. This review is free and open to the public, and it's noted that opioid addiction remains a major challenge for our community. Recently, we've seen the introduction of heroin laced with drugs like fentanyl, creating a substance hundreds of times more potent and addictive than the original. Congressman Bill Foster is bringing together governmental and non-profit leaders for discussion on local efforts and accomplishments for curbing the heroin epidemic. For more information and to register, you're advised to visit foster.house.gov/heroin. So if you are interested in this issue, I believe many people are going to attend this meeting. And then lastly, I have I noticed that the Will County Board is again putting together a group for the Relay for Life. So that is coming up on June 2nd. It's from noon to midnight. And we have two co-chairs. We have Gloria Dollinger and Tyler Markham. There's more details to come, but County Board's been doing this for quite a while, and I think it's really a great effort to see everybody work together. The next Public Health and Safety Committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, March 1st at 9 a.m. And thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Next up is our Legislative and Policy Committee, Ms. Hart, Chairperson.
Thank you, Executive. We have 18-55, which is establishing the 2018 Federal Legislative Agenda and Priorities, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Hart, second by Mr. Mayor. Any discussion? Any discussion? Discussion? Brief from Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I just want to, at this time, thank the committee for all the hard work that they did on this federal agenda. I mean, putting this kind of activity together and being able to communicate succinctly to our federal lobbyists and our representatives in Washington is an extremely important thing to have done. And I want to thank our chairman and her committee for all their hard work on this.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Motion by Ms. Dollinger, second by Ms. Rice. Previous roll call. All in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Thank you, Chuck, for bringing that up, because there is a lot more work than meets the eye. And Nick, thank you. I mean, the amount of calls that we had with DC, with Brent and Reagan, and all of us going through and having to amend and come back. I don't know if everyone realizes the amount of effort, so I appreciate it more than you know. We have our next Legislative and Policy Committee meeting will be scheduled for March 13th, 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Mr. Tuminelli, you have comment?
Nope, just getting ready for my committee.
Oh.
Over and under before 11, is that it?
Okay. Ready and to go. And the next committee is Capital Improvements Committee. Mr. Tuminello, Chairman.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Executive. While there is nothing to vote on today for the Capital Improvements Committee, I did want to share with you an update on the buildings. We have quite a bit going on, and I'd like to personally thank everyone on the Capital Improvements Committee members that have worked so diligently. We meet now twice a month, many times above and beyond those two meetings. We have to communicate with our members. And moving forward, in an effort to be a little more transparent, because of the fact that our committee has the ability to approve so much that never even comes out to the board level, regarding bills, some of the updates, some of the decisions that we make. Every month from moving forward, there's going to be some information in your packet. There will be a report updating the entire board just so that you get on the same page. A lot of people have questions about the capital improvements. They see the county spending quite a bit of money, building a lot of nice facilities, and we want to make sure that every county board member has the ability to answer the same questions that the committee members are able to answer. So with regard to the public safety complex, and as I said, I'll only read this once, and then moving forward it'll be in the packet. With regard to the public safety complex, the main building is substantially completed as of November. The punch list on the main building is about 99% complete. We have a couple items that are left open, such as signage, controls, and hardware. The new radio tower is operational. We have a couple of open items there with a complete demo and site restoration of the old tower. The equipment storage building is 75% complete. Its under roof, interior work, and MEPs are ongoing. The new impound lot is 100% complete. Impounded vehicles on the new secured lot are there right now. The abatement, demolition, and site restoration of the building on the old site begins on 2/17, which is in 2 days. Warranty compliance and facility maintenance planning is underway, and that's regarding the safety complex. With regard to the courthouse, the trade contract awards for all bid packages 1, 2, and 3 have been complete and signed off by the committee. The bid opening date for bid package 4, which will involve 15 finished trades, will be on February 15th. The utility relocation work is ongoing. We have discussed this in committee extensively with AT&T, ComEd, and ICOR. I'm happy to announce that all of that is on schedule. Project excavation and First Midwest building demolition is underway and on schedule. The concrete footings and foundation are to start on February 26th. So if you want to see the footings and foundation work on the new courthouse, that's going to be starting in the next couple weeks. And we have resolved our resolve the issue with our City of Joliet with the street lighting requirements. We worked through all of that in the previous month. With regard to the health department, the programming is completed. We have 2 levels totaling about 80,000 square foot is what they've suggested. The committee is now going back to pare that down to make sure that it fits within our budget. One thing that you may or may not have read about is the fact that the committee has also selected the site of the future Will County Health Department. The new facility will be built at the current location. We went through some diligent review on that, and that was what the committee decided. Capital Improvements Committee will finalize the decision on the project delivery method, on how we're going to build it, and who's going to design it in the upcoming meetings. With regard to the new animal control facility, White & Company was selected for design by the Capital Improvements Committee. The total project cost budget is established at about $3 million, of which we have all of it in a bank account, which is received from user fees from the animal control. So none of this money will come out of any of the corporate funds of the county. It will be a new approximately 7,000 square foot gross square foot building to be located just south of the Will County Department of Transportation on Cherry Hill Road. Design completion and construction documents are due approximately May 14th, and then we'll begin building that building. So I just wanted to give everybody an update on what the committee's been working on. Moving forward, you're going to have this in the packet, and you'll be able to review it and understand and know what the committee's been working on. That's all I have.
Mr. Eustace? Yeah. Ray, I'm actually going to ask for a little clarification. When you say the health department programming is complete, all the programming potentials and possibilities have been presented. It doesn't mean that necessarily the programming is completed. For example, in that building they show storage. Well, we may not want to include that storage in that building. It becomes pretty expensive form of storage. So I just want to get some clarification that the programming has not been completed. All potential possibilities have been completed.
So the program had been completed based on what the input was from the health department, and they came back. Now, what our job is now is to take that programming and what their kind of wish list, just like we did with DLR at the sheriff's station years ago when they came back with this monster facility. It was going to be twice the cost. Then it was that the committee came back, we pared it down to what the needs and what the wants were. We are now going to do the same thing with the health department. We're going to take the program that they presented to us, we're going to take it down to what the needs of the health department are going to be, and then we'll present a final plan on the actual square footage that meets and fits the budget that's set by the finance.
That was going to be my next point, and that is that we have not established a budget for the health department. You know, almost all our projects are budget driven. Doesn't mean that we don't adjust the budget as we go along, including things that make sense. And I do believe that the Finance Committee will take that up next month to help establish a budget. What has been program projected so far, and it's pretty typical, it's twice what we thought our budget would be.
Sure.
So there's work to be done, is I guess what I'm saying. I don't want people getting the impression all the programming's been done and we're moving forward. This project, like all our projects, will be budget driven and what we can, have resources we can put forward. Because if we just take what's been done so far, it would probably require an additional bond issue. I could give you some, so there's some work to be done.
But we feel very confident as a committee that we will be able to drill down on a much tighter budget and make sure that it's within the budget that the finance department has given us. We've gone through this on other projects. This is pretty typical. You come in, you throw everything against the wall of what you expect, what you'd like in the department, and then you come back and you look at the realities of it. So I believe moving forward, the committee will stay on budget, on task, and deliver the project within the scope of what we're given.
Mr. Weigel? I was brought to my attention by a member of the community that wondered if the committee had looked at Old Silver Cross Hospital as a possible site for the health department. Just throw that out.
Yes, the current site for the Silver Cross Hospital was not considered. I met with Mr. Jurgens, I met with some of the individuals from the Silver Cross at the State of the Village just a couple days ago in New Lenox, and they had submitted some interest. I tried turning it back on, it won't go back on. Okay. So I tried getting the information from Mr. Jurgens. He has since then supplied it. I have been in communications with Ms. Holnick regarding that site. As we learned in committee, our site is unique. Our health department is not unique, but it is to the sense that it's like a co-op with the clinic. So it's not set up like 95% of the other ones across the country in counties. It's set up as a cooperative with the clinic. So to move the health department away from the clinic is really not conducive to the operations and to the long-term, goal of delivering the product. So we would have to either, if we went down that path, we would have to move the entire clinic and the health department, or just stay exactly where we're at. So that's why we've determined as a committee to stay where we're at. I have submitted in the last couple of days to Ms. Olnick the information regarding Silver Cross, and her and I will meet on it. But as of right now, we don't have any intention to move to that location.
Mr. President.
Yeah, Ray, you mentioned if you want to watch the footings go in, or if you want to watch the demo, you certainly can go there. But you might remind everybody that we do have a website. You can watch 24/7. See the cars live moving around, so you'll be able to see the demo, see the building come up out of the ground. So if you go to that website, and this is a good site to tell your constituents to take a look at. Because even more so than what we did the sheriff's department, this is live streaming, so they see everything going on as it's happening. So it'll be very interesting, especially to watch the demo of the Midwest Bank building.
Very good. Just remember to hit the play button, because when you first look at it,
Right.
it's just so still, like it's not moving.
Yeah.
That's bad.
It's a very clear picture, too.
Yeah.
Very clear.
Like standing right there.
Thank you.
Ms. Rainier.
Just a quick question for Mike. Mike, where is that at? Is that on the homepage?
You can link to it through Capital, home to Capital.
So you have to go to Capital.
It's on the Will County Board site.
WillCountyBoard.com.
Yeah, the
And
county
then you
board
click on
site.
capital projects.
You have to go to Capital, though. Fine.
Yeah, you
Capital
Okay.
projects.
Capital projects, and then you just pull it up.
I think you can go to
Mr. Brooks?
exact link.
Yeah.
Mr. Brooks, do you have a comment?
Yes, and my comment is a little different than what's been already said. Ray, I want to bring up a point that Speaker Mustis mentioned in our executive committee meeting two words that were music to my ears, and that was minority hiring. And our initiative was being proactive with some projects that are coming up. And I want to thank you for that, sir. But my question to you today, Ray, is this. As far as minority hiring is concerned, reactively, is there anything that can be done, or can there be discussions now that there are demolitions going on? Those things are already in progress.
Well, the bid packages that encompass that are already obviously bid because they're working on the project, but we've only been through 3 bid packages. Bid packages 4 start, and I thought we did a very extensive job, and I thought we did a very good job of the outreach programs that we did to try to encompass everybody in Will County. We did reach out tremendously. I know Ms. Winfrey and yourself did a great job trying to reach out to the minority groups and get them to communicate with Gilbane and at our outreach programs. And I thought they did a good job. But outside of, continuing to educate them and to open the door and to make sure that they know of the project and the bid dates, I think we've done a pretty good job. I'm not sure there's much more that we could do as a county to include anybody else.
Thank
you.
Mr. Brooks, there's more than one phase of reaching out, not only to smaller contractors, but certainly the workforce. So many of these bid packages are fairly large, and they're not going to be for smaller companies, but they do hire subcontractors, and they do, of course, hire folks. And under our documents, they will have to do some additional reach out. So the folks that are successful in getting these contracts, these bid packages, will do an additional outreach. So there's more to be done. We certainly want to hire as many folks in Will County and give as many Will County-based businesses opportunity. So that there'll be some additional work.
Okay. Thank you.
And Gilbane, just to piggyback on that, Gilbane does have a website out there if anyone's interested. If you're a minority contractor, a female-owned contractor, if you're just a small business owner, if you want to piggyback and join up and team up with other larger companies on certain bid packages, you can go to outreach.gilbaneco.com, and it will actually allow you to piggyback and register for a portion of the job, so you would have the ability to combine the bonding requirements with other companies so that you're not left out in the dark because you don't have the bonding capability.
Thank you.
Mr. Moran.
I think it's worth noting that Google's subcontracted the demolition of First Midwest Bank building to a woman-owned disadvantaged business.
Anything else, Mr. Kumel?
I only think you fired the questions at me.
Well, you were ready.
I was ready. I feel like I live in Sleeker. I might as well be ready.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next up, Executive Committee, Mr. Eustace, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning, Mr. Eustace.
County Board. My first item today is to replace on file the Will County CED annual report, and I'll move to place it on file.
Moved by Mr. Eustace, second by Mr. Mayor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Item 1856, authorizing contribution to United Way, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Eustace, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, I have 1857, amending the policy prohibiting sexual harassment, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Eustace, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, I have 1858, awarding bid for electronics recycling collection, one-day events, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Eustace, second by Ms. Rainier. Any questions? Any questions? Previous row by Ms. Hart, second by Ms. Dollinger. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
1859, authorize an intergovernmental agreement with Franklin Township for electronic recycling. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Hart. Any questions? Any questions? Previous row by Mr. Tumanello, second by Ms. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Authorize an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Naperville for the operation of household hazardous waste collection facility, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll, motion by Ms. Hart, second by Mr. Rainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
1861, authorizing sheriff seized vehicles and authorizing surplus and authorizing disposal.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Summers. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Singer, seconded by Ms. Price. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
1862, declaring various equipment surplus and authorizing disposal, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Markham. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Rainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
1863, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the PACE for continuation of the service provider for the mobility management project, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Summers. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Markham, second by Mr. Moran. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
1864, replacement hires for the county executive, Sunny Hill Nursing Home maintenance worker, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Ferry. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Molitello, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
The next executive committee meeting will be March 1st at 10 a.m. at the office complex here. And next I have the appointments of the county executive, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Brooks. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Tumanello, second by Ms. O'Gall. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
That concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Mustis. Anyone here to wish to speak before the board and publicly comment? We have nobody signed up, but if anyone here to speak on behalf before the board, anyone to speak? Comments by county board members? Any county board members got any comments? No comments? Announcements by the majority leader, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. I've been told I need to be short because there's that on the over and under. But first off, I want to all our thoughts and prayers out to the families and folks out in Florida. This is such a travesty that we just need to make sure that our kids stay safe in our schools. And so thoughts and prayers out to their family and friends. Also, we just updated our policy for human resources on and included sexual harassment. A lot of things have been in the news lately, and as a father of 4 daughters, and daughters or guys, I think it's important that nobody be harassed, sexually or any otherwise. And so I'm glad that we continue to firm up our policies. And then last but not least, we had a lot of conversations today about partnerships. From everything that Bob Schillstrom was talking about in the partnerships with the highways, the Joliet Township providing $150,000 because of the need and epidemic that we have with the opioids, to, as you take a listen to the votes that were had today, there were majority votes across the aisle, both ways. And so partnerships happen in a lot of different ways, and without having these kind of partnerships, we just can't get stuff done. So thank you both sides of the aisle here for all the hard work that you did this month. And I think we got spring training coming up soon, didn't I hear, Larry? Started?
Yeah.
And the Cubs got a new pitcher?
The White Sox is already going.
So I can't wait till the Crosstown Classics. I think we should get tickets and everybody go. So with that, everybody have a wonderful weekend and take care.
Thank you. Next up, our minority leader, Mr. Brooks.
I am a preacher, so I know how to keep it short.
Yeah.
I'm asked for that every Sunday. I just want to echo my colleague across the aisle, Mr. Mayor. Last I heard on the television this morning, 17 students perished in the school in Florida, so certainly we want to keep that state of Florida in our prayers. Chicago Officer Bauer lost his life in the line of duty on this week. In the whole state of Illinois, we're mourning for Officer Bauer in Chicago. And also certainly want to thank the Joliet Township for the check for $150,000. And I said earlier, since I'm a minister, the church get 10% tithes on that. So, but I want to thank you for that. And then lastly, Gretchen, I appreciate that prayer. And just want to remind you that whenever you do your prayer, they owe you a handshake. So Nancy owes you a handshake before you leave. All right? Thank you very much. God bless you all. That's short enough.
Thank you.
Well, no, I have to be, I'm sorry, I'll wait till you let me.
Next up, our county board speaker, Mr. Mister.
You know, when you go last in these comments, you know, you wind up doing some repetition. But I too would like to thank everyone for all their hard work all month. I would also like to thank Joliet Township for their contribution to our program here that I think is getting certainly I believe is getting some good results. And we'll keep at it. So I'd like to thank Franklin Township, and as you all know, I'm a township kind of person, so you know they're real contributors to the local, I think, flavor of government. The other thing I wanted to, the other thing I wanted to mention was Commander Bauer. I realized that it's a Chicago policeman, but it made me think about all policemen and all law enforcement. And of course, we deal with the sheriff's department and with law enforcement and corrections. And we're going through budgets, and there's a lot of push and pull, and there's always a big wish list. We get, and we have to kind of weed through it. But sometimes I think we should never forget the job they do. And it is a job that I don't think I want to do, and probably most people do not. And so when they say, go up to a policeman, thanks, we're with you. By the way, I have signs that say I support law enforcement and police. If you want them, let me know. I'll get you one in your yard. So I would like to say to all law enforcement, whether it's all through Will County, all through the state of Illinois, you may not always hear it, and generally when you come in contact with people, it's not always a pleasant situation, but we all do appreciate the job you do. So thank you. Spring training has started. I can't wait to watch those young guys from the White Sox coming up. I don't know what they're doing with the aging Cubs, but everyone here. And actually, spring training, I'm actually really waiting for spring. Forget the training, I like some spring. So thanks everyone, and that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mistius. Following Mr. Mistius' lines, I got a message here handed to me from Mike McLarini that Governor Bruce Browner, that all persons or entities that are covered by the Illinois flag display active to fly the flags at half-staff in honor of Chicago Police Commander Paul Bauer from Thursday morning, sunrise to sunset on Saturday, this February 17th. And also I would personally like to thank our highway workers. They have done a yeoman job on the number of compliments that I have personally received at county roads, open and salted and drivable, fantastic. So Jeff passed that on to the group, and also our maintenance workers around the buildings, that the sidewalks are and parking lots are salted and sidewalks are shoveled and then cleaned. So job well done. We do have to go into executive session today for the issue of the negotiations, labor negotiations. So we'll take a five-minute break, and we need a motion to go into. Moved and second. All